What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot, brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. If you're going to be betting on any NFL games this year or doing any sort of DFS action, FanDuel is the place to get it done. And today we've got an absolutely awesome episode for you, simply because it's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, man. Football is... By the time this episode comes out, football will be here. But for us, football is tomorrow right now. We're going to be previewing Eagles versus Cowboys. We're going to be doing a draft of each week of the NFL season. So that includes like the draft, the Super Bowl, week one. Theo said we could even include college football weeks if we're so inclined, playoff rounds, etc. And then, of course, we're going to finish things off with everyone's favorite segment, the Stay Hot Locks. Theo won last year. Matt won the year before, I won the year before that, and Theo won the inaugural season as well. So, Theo, you have a chance to take a commanding three score lead here in the Stay Hot Locks, or one of Matt and I could tie you. We'll see how it goes. But before we get into things, it was the longest intro of all time. But Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Wednesday evening?
I'm doing well. Football is back. I'm looking forward to it. I just put the finishing touches on my Micah Parsons video for the Patreon. I've been sick of him. I'm honestly sick of him. All right. He's been dominating too much of my thoughts, too much of my days is getting that video done. But if you want to go check that out, check out the Patreon where it should be up. I compare him to Reggie White, his defensive impact across multiple years, and then launch into a pretty in-depth film review of him and thinking about how he can fit in with Edgerrin Cooper and all that. So there's a lot of good information on there, and I'm glad to be finished with that because I've been getting up and drinking coffee and then just, being caffeinated and trying to put that together for like 3 straight days. So I'm glad that is over with. I'm glad that
and you know
is
what?
over with.
We're probably setting everyone up for 3 straight Patreon posts here. Once you get the Parsons video out, and then the NBA pod, and then Theo, you and I are going to do a Thursday night recap, and then some more preview of some of the Sunday games that'll go up on Saturday. So that'll be very exciting for all the Patreon.
Yeah, it'll be a three-peat. It'll be a three-peat only because I didn't do a podcast last Saturday to put this video together, and it ended up just taking me a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
But we're making it up. We're making it up.
We're making it up to you. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Pottery class today went pretty good. We're building and growing in there. And then I went thrifting and I got a couple of pairs of jeans. So that's pretty sick too. We'll see how they fit. Obviously, I'm not going to try them at a Goodwill. And when it's the outlet, it costs like 90 cents. So I'm like, let's give it a shot. But I'm excited for football to be back, man. I mean, it already is because college football and whatnot. But now we're getting into fully week by week. Basically every day there's good games on, or like 4 out of 7 days there's good games on. And for fantasy to be back in the swing of it, it's just a lot of exciting stuff and just having stuff to talk about. I was thinking about the Stay Hot Locks, which we're going to do at the end of this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tough to score more than like 25 or 30 points in that. I don't honestly know what our winning scores have been, but I feel like they've been
Theo, I think, won with 22 last year.
Like, that's pretty low, right? And you're just picking like the games that you think are most likely to be won by another team. Like, you could pick one game half the weeks, and if you were right, like, that wouldn't be a bad score. Because the NFL is just really, really hard to predict.
Yeah.
It's really, really crazy. Week by week, insane things happen all the time. So, especially for like week one, I'm super, super excited to just to see, like, if someone gets blown out by 20, that's their whole resume. And if it's against like what popular opinion was, like it just gets crazy. So I'm super, super excited.
Things just get built up so much over this offseason. Like, I think the Raiders-Patriots game is so interesting, right? Like, those two teams spent huge this offseason, right? Like, Will Campbell and Milton Williams and Barmore is coming back and Carlton Davis and like all of the Diggs and Henderson. Like, the Patriots like totally retooled, right? And so do the Raiders, Geno and Genti and Bowers, I guess, isn't new, but Pete Carroll and all of them, like those two teams have done so much to try to improve this offseason, and they play each other week one, and one of them is just going to be fraudulent. One of them is going to prevail, and it who knows? It could get ugly. Like one of these, all the hype for one of those teams could like completely go out the window just immediately, right? It's just so it's such a thud. So yeah, I'm excited to see all the agendas.
You expect to learn a lot about every team in week one, but really you just end up coming away knowing just as much as you did before, because I don't know.
Yeah,
you only have one game to go off of.
And that is the great thing, is like I can't decide if I should just always bet against what I think or if I should never change my mind, because half the time I'm like, I had it and then I flip-flopped and I should have never flip-flopped. And then the other half of the time it's like, I am so sure I know what's going on. And then like the complete opposite happens.
It doesn't matter. This is the thing
seems to get it wrong
about
all the time.
Sports. It just completely doesn't matter when it comes to like predicting games or seasons, how much you know.
Yeah.
It's just completely random. It's like 50-50 no matter what. So if you stay like flip-flopping, you'll always remember the times you shouldn't. And if you stick to your guns, you'll always remember the times that you shouldn't. And whichever one you are currently doing is the one you'll be like, I
shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I thought I knew.
So.
With that being said,
week
one is one of the things that you could draft in the NFL weeks of the season, or I guess the football weeks of the season draft. Theo, I'll give you the first pick since this was your idea. Will you take week one in your first pick with your first overall pick?
Yeah, I can pick any week of the NFL season. What is my favorite week to watch? I think it is week one. I think I am going to make week one of the NFL season the first overall pick. As a Green Bay fan, it's tempting to go playoffs because they're always there. But I think the overall excitement for every single person is there for week one, right? There's not a single fan base. There's not a single fan base that can't get down with some week one action, right? So I think that makes week one the best overall week of the NFL season. Like just wall-to-wall games, usually a Monday night doubleheader, right? I get the season opener along with everything else on the Thursday. Like as cool, the Super Bowl is awesome.
Week, right?
Yeah, no one's on a bye week. Everything is revealed. Like it's so exciting. It's so exciting. The playoffs are great. The Super Bowl is great. The draft is great. All of those things. But I think week one is my overall favorite week of the calendar year.
Fair enough. I can get down with that. Yeah, with everybody has expectations for their team.
Exactly.
Right now, you get to week 10, and it's like some fan bases at that point they know. They've been told.
Even week two, some fan bases might know, but week one, who knows how the Saints will do.
And no matter what you think, like even if you are the ultimate, like I'm the realist about my trash ass team or whatever the hell, like it's week one, you're gonna get hyped up. You're gonna be like, yeah, but if this dude and this dude hits, we're there.
That's what I'm saying. Like if Carson Schwessinger hits, and then the Browns will have the best defense of all time and they'll win the Super Bowl.
No one's hurt.
No one's hurt. All good.
Maybe there are a few.
A lot of people aren't. It's about as healthy as you get.
Yeah, it's about as healthy as you get. Matt, you have the second pick here.
Well, are we counting college football?
I think we can.
We can count.
Okay, rivalry week then for sure is my number one pick. There's some other good options, but
not in recent
rivalry
years, right?
Rivalry week is just so exciting. I mean, like the games are as high stakes as any playoff game, but you get a bunch of them. We've had a lot of legendary games in there. And I guess it depends, like, if you're a fan of a team that has a rivalry that's not that big of a deal, maybe it's not the same. But, like, I grew up in South Carolina and Columbus, so Ohio State, Michigan was always a big deal, and South Carolina, Clemson's always a big deal. So I'd say that that's like the highest stakes, even if your entire season has gone wrong, even if your team has won 3 games, if you can get that one, you still feel like it was a successful season. So, and plus, I think the atmosphere of those type of games, especially in the bigger stadiums, probably cannot be beaten all of football. For a game like that,
yeah.
I don't know if it can be done. So I'm going that.
Give me the NFL draft, man. That's the one that I would have picked first overall. Maybe because I'm a Browns fan, and the season usually is over by week 2 for me. So like,
the draft is the draft is first overall. You're the main characters of the draft.
It's the one time where I get to really get excited about anything could happen. You know, they usually disappoint me, but anything could happen the night of the draft. About 10 minutes before that first pick comes in, I'm really excited, and then about 30 seconds after, I'm already regretting my excitement. But the NFL draft is just so much fun. Like, we do our scouting on various players, and all of that build up is super fun. Finding guys just to be excited about, and then seeing where they end up, and seeing the teams that tend to draft all of your guys versus the teams that draft everyone that you think is kind of a bust and kind of following their path. It's really easy to get excited about that. So I'll take the draft there with the third pick here. And then do we want to make it a snake? I
guess draft? So. That's what we usually do. I think you should get the swing here.
If I'm taking the swing, I kind of think the next biggest week might be the trade deadline. Might be the next one that I take, because that one really, I feel like there's a lot of big action that comes up at the trade deadline. Look, you're saying that I should pick a playoff week or I should pick the Super Bowl. I'm never there, man.
The trade deadline. There's a Cleveland Farrell going fourth overall.
Trade deadline. A lot of action happens at the trade deadline, and also it's kind of the midpoint of the season. A lot of teams can either make or break at this point. So I think that's a pretty exciting point.
Not the trade. You're taking the trade deadline over the Super Bowl.
This isn't the NBA, man. I'm gonna with my next pick, if we're snaking, I'll go with the Super Bowl because it's the biggest game of the year, man.
Yeah, but the build up.
It has nothing. That has nothing on Chase Claypool getting moved.
This is the thing. I can get behind the draft being really high, and I know a lot of people will say, "Well, I like the actual football better." Fair, I agree. But is week 4 of the regular season more exciting than the draft? I think I might take the whole entire draft over just 1 week of regular season.
Yeah.
The trade deadline, I guess, is one of
the vision.
I guess is like on average one of the better weeks of the regular season because you have that extra mix plus games.
Yes.
But like the NFL trade deadline is Do you guys
remember when the Cleveland Browns were trying to trade for AJ McCarron and it didn't happen because they forgot to put in the paper?
No, I don't remember that.
I do remember that. I remember that.
Absolute cinema.
They did. Do you remember when the Browns traded Zadarius Smith at the trade deadline last year? Because I forgot about that until I Googled 2024 trade deadline moves. I will say the trade deadline has been a little bit more interesting recently.
It's getting there, but it's not like
got moved at the deadline, and Ramsey got moved at the deadline, and last year Adams got moved at the deadline. So there's been some better players getting moved recently, but it's still not as good as the Super Bowl.
The only reason I would take the Super Bowl is because we get to go to media week.
and because it's the Super Bowl.
Look, if my team were in the Super Bowl, you've been there, man. You wouldn't get it.
And when that was the worst week of the Super Bowl yet that they've made. It wasn't fun when they were in the Super Bowl.
It had to have been fun like the week leading up.
No, it was incredibly stressful, and rightfully so. And they lost,
dude.
It's not more.
I would be over the moon, dude. I would be over the moon.
Okay, you're wrong. You'd be very stressed out.
Hey,
you're wrong. You're wrong.
It was not like going to the Super Bowl was horrible for Cam's legacy.
It was like easily the worst game in Panthers history.
You're telling me if Cam Newton never goes to a Super Bowl, his legacy is better than it is right now?
Yes,
for sure,
100%.
If he had played just mediocre and they'd lost to like the Cardinals or some shit, mind you, they killed him in real life. That would be better than the way they lost Super Bowl 50, no doubt.
Cam not jumping on the fumble is
not
huge.
Jumping on the fumble. I know people hate that shit, but like,
very overblown. But yeah, the Super Bowl can make or break a legacy.
Look, I know the Browns haven't made him, but you don't got to do this.
It's why
you don't got to try to do this
have to do this, man. I do.
Aaron Donald doing
this
the ring me.
This is my draft. This is how.
The Browns always draft horribly.
Oh, they do.
That doesn't make you think.
But the anticipation leading up to the draft is what makes it fun.
When the Browns move Garrett at the deadline, we will come back to this.
Fair enough.
Matt, you took the Super Bowl. Do you have anything else you want to say about the big game?
It's the big game. I will say sometimes it can be a little bit of a letdown because it can be not a great game, but it's the Super Bowl, you know, even when it's a bad game, it's history. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
There's some times where in other weeks, like this is not so much true for the NFL regular season, but other weeks in the playoffs or in college football, you'll watch a game and you'll be like, that was history. I'll think about this game sometime randomly 12 years from now, right? The Super Bowl is like one of those games that's a lock to be like that, where you'll reminisce on it. And I think it's always pretty cool no matter what happens.
Yeah, the history of it is crazy. Like, I've watched a thing about Hurts on his top 100, I think, where he talks about how his lock screen is still him walking off the field, a loser in the 2023 Super Bowl, right? And whatever, I'm not trying to, like, it's crazy that he could have 2 Super Bowls, you know? Like, the missed opportunity there to really have your place in history as like a 2-time winner, right? Thinking about the missed opportunity that is, even if you have one, like you just want another right away, and just you want to keep building and become a dynasty. And yeah, the severity and the importance of the game, even if it's a blowout or even if you lose, it just lasts for longer than just that day, right? This whole offseason has been about the Eagles and their Super Bowl win, right? And yeah, it's fueled everything since. So even when the game is bad, a lot still comes from it, and legacies are completely made.
The other thing that would have made the Super Bowl over the trade deadline, the Super Bowl used to fall on my birthday every 7 years. And then they added the additional week, and it no longer does.
You're thinking about the Super Bowl in a very self-centered type of way here.
I'm feeling very selfish today. You know what? Sue me. Theo, you've got 2 picks here.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the divisional round first.
Okay.
I think the divisional round has an argument for best playoff round because all the wild card fake teams, the fake contenders, are out of it by then. All right, I don't have to watch Broncos 31-7. I don't have to watch, Trubisky in the playoffs or anything like that.
Especially with the 7 seed, where it's like they're kind of throwing out an extra game, but it's been
1 7 seed they did win, so don't count out the 7 seed all the time. But most of the time, yes, the 7 seeds are not so good. But yeah, the divisional round, you start to get like the Chiefs and the Patriots and these dynasties mixed in, and it's just a better quality round overall. So it's a lot of football still. You get, the Saturdays and Sundays slate, and yeah, it's just a great week. So I'll go with that. And then the conference championship as well. I'll take both of those. Was that one really famous week where the 13-second game happened? Was that conference championship? Was that to go to the Super Bowl, or was that divisional?
Which game are you talking about?
There was like,
Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, the 13 seconds Chiefs Bills game that was 2021.
That was, I think, the conference championship.
I don't know. I thought that was divisional. I won't lie.
Maybe it was.
It is divisional. It is divisional. That was a great divisional
round. The
round.
conference championship game kind of is the same as the Super Bowl in the sense like it's history in its own right. And you think about those games a lot, and it's, once you've made it there, you're a team that will kind of be at least remembered in some aspect, no matter what, where it's like those guys were a game away from the Super Bowl. They were that close. Like Washington will always be one of those teams. Where it's like they were, as a rookie, they were a game away from making the Super Bowl. Or it's like you think about like the Vikings, right? Or that with Keenum, I think about that a lot. So Yeah, I totally agree. Conference championship game to decide the Super Bowl matchup is always sick. And you spend the whole week thinking of like which one of those 4 matchups that are possible would be most interesting. It's cool.
Yeah. Matt, last pick.
My last pick. I'm between the like first week of free agency or wild card, or I guess I could go with another college football week. The issue is that the weeks are so, like in the regular season, it just completely depends. So otherwise, you'd have to pick like the first week of the playoffs, right? Out of principle, I won't be doing that. However, so I'll go wild card actually here. Yeah, it's sometimes, filled with a couple of more lopsided matchups, but the 7 seeds are an extra game compared to the divisional round, and there's still a lot of good football played there. So it's NFL playoffs.
You get a lot of classic performances, I think, there too. It's a little bit easier to put up numbers, and like some of the best, when I think of some of the best playoff performances ever, you get to the wild card round. Like Josh Allen had one against the Patriots where it was, he like played out of his mind. Peyton Manning had one, I can't remember the year, he had one wild card round that was just like unbelievably special. Jordan Love as well, got to throw him in, like that Cowboys game. Like I feel like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like quarterbacks are kind of padding their stats in the wild card round, but that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. You get some guys who stamp some playoff legacies right away.
That leaves me the last pick here. And some might argue that I probably could have gotten trade deadline at this point, but
I do think that's a bit of a reach.
Maybe. So I guess I will take I'll take the second to last regular season game, because you don't have teams like completely.
I had that on my list.
Just like not completely, not trying. They have their backups in, but you still have borderline playoff games, teams fighting for playoff spots, and it feels like every game matters. And maybe I should even take week 16, the third to last week, because there might be more teams in it.
Take 17.
I'll take 17.
Fantasy football championship. And
that's true.
Nobody is really resting that week.
That's true. Yep. Yeah. The only reason I was thinking 16 is more teams might still be in the playoff mix, but week 17 is probably the play there. So
the great thing about football really is the scenarios that end up happening in like week 17 or so. I think that's a valid pick.
So before we get into this preview of Thursday Night Football, Eagles versus Cowboys, got to give a quick shout out to our good friends over at Chubbies. They were kind enough to send us over some polos from their NFL collection. And I got to tell you, most comfortable polo I've ever had in my entire life. But they've also got tons of other sports gear like these mesh shorts and even some swim trunks, all with your team's logo on them. Like if you're going to be screaming at the TV, which you're about to be in a couple of days, you might as well look good doing it. And here's the thing, Chubbies is the ultimate football apparel brand, so much so they created their own fantasy football league. George Kittle, Ian Rappaport, and others have come together to assemble the Chubbies League on NFL Fantasy. Each week, the top 5 scores will win a chance at a Chubbies polo/shorts combo with their team's logo, and the grand champion gets the chance at the ultimate fan experience, a 5-city, 5-stadium NFL game tour with a +1, while the fantasy flop faces a hilarious and unforgettable punishment that only Chubbies could pull off. Head on over to chubbysshorts.com/thechubbiesleague to learn more and have some fun. Get ready for the most outrageous fantasy football season of your life. But the very best part about this is that our friends at Chubbies are giving the Stay Hot listeners an exclusive deal where you can get $10 off with the code STAYHOT at chubbysshorts.com/stayhot. That's right. You can get $10 off with the code STAYHOT. Grab the NFL collection and get your game day fit right. And let's talk about game day, because by the time people are listening to it, it will be game day. Eagles versus Cowboys. Matt, I'm going to throw to you first. What do you think is the big key that needs to be focused on in this game? What are you watching for?
I think there's a couple of huge things here. Obviously, the Micah trade has like completely flipped this game on its head. But I'm going to go off and say the pass rush here for Dallas. I mean, you trade away one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL, and week 1, you go up against the best tackle duo in the NFL, who you will see again later in the season. So the question is, how is Eberflus going to try to work through that? Is he going to be a little bit more blitz heavy? Is he going to just straight up rush 4? He was pretty balanced in Chicago. And while I'm not totally out on like all of the pass rushing talent in Dallas, we really liked Ezeraku. I think there's a chance that we get into this game and the Cowboys just can't really get super consistent pressure off the edge. You allow Jalen Hurts to sit in the pocket and you make things easy for him. I also might question, okay, Dallas's defense has been really good at creating turnovers, right? They've had multiple guys go on and have these like huge interception seasons. How is that going to be affected by not having a Micah Parsons who's forcing people to get rid of the ball quickly? I would figure not very good. And I think it could be ugly this game, frankly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The Dallas defense to me is the big key to watch, and I'll be interested to see if the Eagles winning the Super Bowl changes the way teams play them. I mean, since Jalen Hurts got there, things haven't gone the way you'd expect when it comes to game plans against the Eagles. They see more single high than anybody else. They see more man coverage than anybody else. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have just been allowed to really feast in an attempt to stop the run. Now, that's not gotten any easier with Saquon Barkley there, but clearly that strategy has not worked with the Eagles getting to 2 Super Bowls and winning one in the last 3 years. I'll be interested to see if that starts to change, if Eberflus's plan has more to do with keeping the 2 high shell, bracketing the receivers, and letting the run game kind of go. I don't think that'll work either,
I think
right?
That'd be tough. Like, because then the other thing is, okay, well, you brought in Kenny Clark, and your big point was like, we don't just want the best value we can get back for Parsons. We want a guy who helps the run defense now. Well, okay, buddy, no more Micah. You're here. It's Eagles week 1. You got to go ahead and get this done and stop them. So, like,
they're gonna run the tush push.
Yeah.
They're
just going to run at a high rate anyway. And if you got Clark and traded away Micah to do it with the reasoning being like, oh, they're just running the ball, they're throwing quick passes. Like, would you not want to go more to a 2 high shell if you think that you've improved in the run game so much and your defensive tackles are now more solid? Like, I feel like, I don't know. I'll be interested to see if that's the philosophy. The other cool thing is Trayvon Diggs is cleared to play. And we were so excited about seeing Bland and Diggs together last year, and it just didn't really happen because of injuries. They just didn't share the field much. So that should be the case week 1. Maybe that encourages them to keep with the man high strategy, the single high man strategy. But yeah, the Cowboys' defensive philosophy in this game will be fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, just because the Cowboys' defense. I mean, just on paper, I feel like we would expect it to be worse without Micah Parsons, just straight up. Even with the addition, even with having Diggs healthy, they lost 34-6 last year in week 10. They lost, or week 9.
Was that without Dak at that point?
They were both of their games were without Dak, but they allowed 34 and 41 points respectively. And in the game where they allowed 41, the Eagles were without Jalen Hurts. So, dude, I'm not feeling good.
Frankly, I mean, let's zoom out here a little bit. The question that might be answered tonight, although it's against such a good team that's so well-rounded and so hard to have a great answer against unless you're stacked yourself, that maybe it'll look worse than it actually is. But we're going to learn exactly where the Cowboys defense stands without Micah. That's the big question, because offensively, if Dak is doing his thing and maybe the run game isn't great because we don't love the running backs, but he's got the receivers out there, I can feel confident that they can find some level of consistency or ability to go and drive on even good defenses and score, right? Because I like Pickens and Lamb and Dak.
Right.
But the defense could be really bad. Is it going to be worse without Micah, or is it going to be such a big disaster that they're not really a competitive team, and they end up, losing every game 50-30 or whatever. Is that how it goes down? That's kind of the whole key to the night of what we're learning. There's some other stuff in here too, of course, but the Eagles I think they're like kind of largely a similar team who we expect to do largely similar stuff, whereas the Cowboys made almost like, I don't want to say the biggest change of the offseason, but one of the biggest changes of the offseason, certainly.
I think you can say biggest change.
Well, it's like that compared to like the Raiders offense that'll now have like a real quarter, and it's like they're not like testing out, Aiden O'Connell, like stuff like
new
that.
head
so
coach,
maybe I'd argue
new running back, right,
that type of stuff, or like getting a new coach. But I'm interested to see what it is with Dallas's defense, and I believe in Dak, I believe in CD. I think their passing offense could be all right, it feels like that should give a team a good floor. It should, but defensively you can only be so bad. So we'll have to see where they stand.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hurts got sacked 5 times last year, the first time they played Dallas, and he threw 2 touchdowns, ran for 2 touchdowns, and in totality they had 187 yards on the ground. I mean, just if it didn't matter with Parsons, dude, if they were getting 5 sacks and it just didn't matter at all, they still scored 34. Is it going to matter now? Like, I think anything they can do?
Well, they have their corners, and a big reason why they allowed all those points was because Bland was on Devontae Smith or Kalen Carson was on AJ Brown or something like that, and so they've got a shot to overcome some of the Parsons loss with the addition of those two, possibly. But we know that Diggs and Bland are both a little bit inconsistent, so we'll see how much.
I do feel like Diggs did kind of turn it around and be a little bit more consistent. The second year after his like major interception season, because I remember the year immediately after there was definitely a drop up. I felt like after that he really started to kind of pick things up and be a more consistent, pure coverage corner.
So. Trayvon Diggs last year, he did a good job. I mean, Trayvon Diggs had a target rate of 17.5%, which isn't much. Teams kind of stayed away from him. That ranked 60th in the league. And his success rate when targeted, it was 57%, which ranked 14th. So he was good when he was healthy last year. Bland, he was at 44% success rate, which ranked 80th. So like, again, there's this big up and down when it comes to both of those guys together, where like sometimes Diggs is great and Bland is great, and sometimes Bland is terrible and Diggs is great. Like, can they both be good at the same time? Because they'll need to against those receivers. I'm also interested in the Dallas offense and this passing attack. Like, the expectation is like get all these Cowboys in fantasy, right? Dak is going to have to throw a lot, but is that going to be a little bit too much on their shoulders? Like, just how much is he going to have to do by himself? Like, are the wheels going to kind of be spinning?
I mean, this is why we called them
fall off.
This is why we called them the Diet Bengals to some extent, because it's basically what Burrow was doing last year. And I think we sort of just have to trust in our previous evaluations of Dak Prescott, which is that he's one of the best pure pocket passing quarterbacks in the NFL. Right? I mean, I think if you believe that, which I think we all do, then you have to believe that the passing offense will be pretty good. But he's also coming off an injury.
I think that he's coming off an injury, and there's some questions like Guyton out at tackle is no guarantee. So how this offensive line holds up against a defense that can get after it, it'll be interesting to see. Right? I do believe that Dak is a good quarterback who you can put a lot on his plate. You can ask him to, like read things out pre-snap and make calls like that and drop back and do his thing. And I do believe that when you bring in Pickens, it's too hard to key in on. Like you keep defenses honest, whereas if it's just Lamb and then nobody else behind them, I think that was a huge issue for Dallas last season. But it's fair to ask. I mean, the 2 years that Schottenheimer has been offensive coordinator, they've been 11th and 6th in pass rate and even higher in total passes attempted. This year, the defense probably will be worse, which you think would lead to even more passing attempts to keep up. And frankly, I wonder if their run game will be the worst that it's been, unless Booker makes a huge impact early, which isn't impossible. But again, we think their running back trio is weak, and Moff is on IR, and Blue has a screwed up ankle. So it's just Williams and Sanders back there, who have been two of the least efficient runners in the NFL. It wouldn't have been surprising to me to see them either buried on a depth chart or out of the league straight up. So if you told me we were looking back at the end of the season and the Cowboys led the league in pass rate or led the league in passing attempts, I wouldn't be surprised at all. In fact, I expect them to be like top 3 in pass attempts, I think, again. So yeah, it's a big thing to watch. And the other aspect of it that I'm interested in, and I know the Eagles have been a little coy about naming who their starters are, but this Vic Fangio defense has brought in, through the draft, a couple of really great coverage, rangy zone players in Campbell and Makuba. They already have a couple of dudes who are really instinctual and really athletic and really hard to throw against. Now you bring in 2 more guys that are serious playmakers. I'm really excited to see how those guys fit into this defense and whether it makes them, one of those teams that's it's just so dangerous to throw against that it maybe makes them better than they were last year. I don't think it's impossible.
I don't think it'll be more dangerous because of Sweat. I think Sweat being gone could not kill the pass rush, but Sweat was a really good defensive end. Nolan Smith is great too, but he was working with Sweat last year, right? And Milton Williams too. So I don't think the Eagles defense will post quite the numbers they did last year. I don't think they'll be more dangerous, but I will be interested to see if they can, if they look like they'll be contending for the number 1 spot.
I think there's a lot of ways they can make up for that pass rush. I like Ajamo. I think he could be a big impact guy, particularly as a pass rusher. His numbers were great last season. Carter could take a step. Nolan Smith was looking really good. And I don't know, man. Like, obviously, when you're talking about adding in rookies to a team that's like going for the Super Bowl and winning right now, you want to tamper your expectation. Like, you don't want to get too high on guys you liked, but I really do like Campbell. We had him as an impact player quickly before the draft. Makuba was, Theo in particular, one of your guys.
For sure.
And again, like, I just think when you add those 2 dudes in, I don't think that I can immediately say, well, they're rookies, so whatever. I do think it could make a big difference, even if they lost a couple of key guys on the defensive line.
Yeah, Carter is the type of guy who can make a lot of things right too. Like after the Parsons trade, I'm thinking about the Packers and how they stack up in the NFC, and it's like, well, is this the best defensive player in the conference? Maybe, but is he better than everybody on the Eagles? Maybe, but Carter is right there, right? Like the Eagles do have a guy that is just a pure mismatch for 99% of the guards in the league. He's just too fast, too violent. His motor runs too hot. He's always looking for the strip, like not just the tackle, but like making a big turnover. He's pretty nuts. So as long as he's around,
I still like. Tell me you don't love their defensive interior line room still. With Williams, it's 100%. Like Davis and Ajamo next to Carter. It's like that's a perfect toolkit right there alone. So I don't know. I think this defense is going to be pretty special.
I agree. That's why I took them in the 32 team fantasy league. I think they're going to be really, really good. I could see him coming away with a lot of interceptions, man. It wouldn't surprise me if they had like a good interception luck season. Although it wouldn't be luck, but like some years experience. Yeah, the production goes their way. Quinion Mitchell works on his hands this offseason, and he ends up coming down with a few more. And I don't know, man. I'm really also thinking that their run defense is just going to be crazy. I mean, Jahad Campbell's so good at shooting gaps, and Zach Bond was already a tremendous run defender last year. And you've got like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on the defensive line. Like, dude, there's no way to really, like, who's getting to the second level against this defensive line and like really taking guys like Campbell and Bond out of the play. And if you can even get one of them, you still have to worry about the other because they're both they both feel like they're going to be tremendous, guys for this team. So I was thinking about Drew Bledsoe has the NFL record for most pass attempts in a game with 70. Do we think Dak Prescott has a chance to break that?
I really do think, and it is kind of hot takeifying what is a fair
a little bit, but
analysis of like, okay, this Cowboys team already threw a lot, and now their run game doesn't look that great, and they brought in another receiver, and the defense is probably even worse. Like, they should lead the league in pass attempts. It could totally happen. It should be them or like the Bengals, or I guess the Browns are always up there too. But like, yeah, I mean, they could end up with a crazy number of pass attempts. It absolutely could happen because
I don't think
the passing game will be
in a season record.
No, I think 70 is a pretty tough number to hit. But yeah, I think there's going to be some games where they throw a ton of footballs.
Yeah. Brady has the record for most in a season at 733. And that was on
what year was that?
That was the 22 Buccaneers.
Okay.
The team that
723.
33.
33.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot. Stafford's right behind him with 727 in 2012. So I guess there's a mix of like you could be a really good team or a really bad team and still throw a lot. But in general, it feels like only good teams are up here for the most part. So I don't know. Probably not in a season, but I think they could get close to 70 in a game.
I think they could contend for the season thing and the game thing. I'll be interested to see if Shoddy wants to add more balance. That's kind of his what people are expecting going into it, right? Like McCarthy was so shotgun spread focused with a high pass rate. Is Shoddy going to be a little bit more under center? Is that why they got Javonte Williams and drafted Tyler Booker in the first round? Is it going to be more duo, like straight downhill running? Maybe, but I think when shit hits the fan, the best way for the Cowboys to win is going to be is Dak spread out and attempting a lot of passes.
You can line up under center and throw the football still. No one's stopping you from doing that.
True.
Yeah, I think they're going to throw a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Shoddy has the reputation as a running game guy because of his time in Seattle, but he also kind of opened it up for Russell Wilson. There was a period of seasons where they let Russ cook, and it turned him around for a little bit, and then they traded him, and then he fell off. So yeah, I'll be interested to see a lot. I'll be interested to see Smith and Booker, and if the run game can be a little bit better than we think. I think that's possible. I think the Cowboys offense overall should be pretty good. And I think the Eagles offense, that's probably the number one thing I'm interested in is what does this
new coordinator
look like, and what does Hurts look like with all of these expectations and coming off this big Super Bowl win? All the talk this offseason has been, where does he rank? Is he top 5? Is he top 10? Yeah. Is he as good as Cam Newton, right? How much time has been spent debating these things? Like I keep saying, last year, their drop back passing attack was not good. All right. They threw it at the second lowest rate on early downs in the league, ahead of just the Packers. And they had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so you can't really use the wide receiver excuse. So they just did not throw a lot of Hurts was there were times right last year where Hurts and Brown seemed like they were kind of beefing, right? Brown was
that has all kind of been like pushed to the side.
It all got memory hold. It all got memory hold.
Putting up 40 points.
And then there was that one performance where he's like, "That's what y'all wanted to see, huh?" But then they went into the playoffs, and like Green Bay's defense did a pretty fantastic job overall, shutting them down in that wild card game. I mean, it was 16-10 in the fourth quarter at one point. I think people forget how much the defense and the secondary especially kept them in that game, right? And then the next week they took a ton of sacks, right? Like 8 sacks in the Rams game. Yep. The success rate was at the bottom of the playoffs. I was pretty concerned about them, but they had the defense to carry them. Washington, they were able to torch, and then the Chiefs, they were able to torch. But man, before that conference championship game, the Hurts was not very highly regarded. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to be the reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl instead of the reason that they did win the Super Bowl. what Jalen Hurts shows up week 1. Because is it going to be someone's going to get a dose of cold water, the anti-Hurts system quarterback people or the Hurts goat people. Like, he's so divisive.
I just don't trust the Cowboys defense. I really don't. I think they're going to have to stop the run. And I think Hurts is, in spite of what we've said about, maybe him being a little bit overrated because of the Super Bowl and the big game he had there. I still had him at 10 on my QB list, and I have no doubt going up against a defense that I think is severely limited, that teams are going to have to stop the run, and then Hurts can get it done from there. I'm feeling pretty decent about it. I mean, to get into predictions, I have the Eagles winning this game, and I think it's the biggest spread of the week, if I'm not mistaken.
Ever, actually.
Biggest spread ever. It's 8.5, which is not crazy by NFL standards. That's like pretty long, man. Obviously, there's a path to where like Dak just goes out there and slings it, and I think wins in a shootout. If you're trying to easily imagine what happens, keeping in mind that like it's the NFL and anything can happen, you can go into a game like this and then the exact opposite of what you expected this matchup to look like plays out in front of you. But yeah, I got the Eagles winning this one by. I got the Eagles winning this one by like 10, but it's kind of there's like a very BS garbage time.
So you would take the Eagles over.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
My prediction is that the Eagles win. I was a little bit disappointed when this was announced as the opening game, as opposed to like Eagles Lions or something like that, or Eagles Chiefs, just because it seemed a little obvious that the Eagles were winning, especially now. But I do think that Dak is better than Hurts. And I think that might play into it. And I think the Cowboys can cover the 8-point spread. So I'll say Cowboys by like 6. I'm thinking about that Panthers game, Matt. The Panthers did not have a very good defense in week 14 last year. And the Eagles passing attack struggled a little bit. So some of those regular season weeks scare me. Maybe I'm too scared and I should just trust the Super Bowl.
Well, it's like, it's all professional athletes. Like we could say it a million times. And I'm not predicting, I'm predicting 10 points.
Plus, Dak is a great garbage time player. So I think maybe the Eagles get off to a...
one of the greats.
He's true.
I think he can maybe at one point the Eagles are winning by double digits, but I think by the end it'll be a 6-point game.
And above all, I'm riding with Dak this year. Not the Cowboys, not their win-loss record, but Dak.
Well, he's on your fantasy team.
That's my quarterback, man.
We dem Prescotts. How about dem Prescotts?
What is it? Is it Dakota?
I'm excited to see Pickens, dude. I want to see him get 10 deep shots a game, man, one-on-one. Like, I'm ready for it, dude.
I think you'll see some GP, some DP to GP. I think you'll see it.
It's possible. What's your prediction, Blade?
I fear I'm going to have to take Eagles by 1 billion.
Hurts is your guy, so I can't.
He is, and you know what? He's my guy, and even I'm like lower on him than consensus. So.
I don't know. I think consensus is not that high on Jalen Hurts. I just think
it's weird because there are two camps. MVP. Like there isn't really a consensus. There are two.
I guess
camps.
There's true. Yeah, there's two camps.
There's two camps. There's mostly that Hurts is like sort of in that tier of around 10-ish guys. And then there's the camp where it's like, well, he just won the Super Bowl and put up a lot of stats in the Super Bowl, and he's as good as like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, and he's like in that tier because he won. Actually. And any other analysis outside of that, we've talked about this to the end of time anyway. Like it's enough of the Jalen Hurts discourse. I think he's a good quarterback. And I think this Eagles team will be very good.
The Jalen Hurts discourse is just getting started, I'm afraid.
The current consensus QB rankings on my website has Jalen Hurts coming at 7.
So in between the two camps, basically. It is a little high, but it is what it is.
That is such a great tool, Blaiden. That is the final word on what the consensus is. How many? Can you see how many people have submitted?
I can open the database real quick. I don't have it pulled up right now.
It's above triple digit. It's like 4 digits.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
You're big.
Where is it? Yeah, I'm horrible podcasting right now, man.
No, it's okay. That is as good as it gets when it comes to judging where guys rank consensusly. Though there's
I think so. I think it's not a bad way to go about it here. Okay, we've got 34,400 total rows, but that is each entry is a single row. So like Jalen Hurts getting ranked at 7 is a single row. So 32. So there's probably about 34,400 divided by 32 is 1,075 is how many entries have been submitted to the consensus.
Kind of nailed that number.
You did. You nailed it like right on the head. So I'm gonna put a post out on Twitter, either tonight or tomorrow morning. Like, these are the consensus QBs going into week 1. We'll see how it changes.
I'm excited for that.
Me too. Before we get into
for everybody to think, I'm excited for everybody to think that it's you and your rankings.
Dude, no, and they're like,
what the hell is wrong with this?
So
no one should be mad.
Who are you to say that these are the consensus quarterback rankings? It's very.
But if you say they're my consensus quarterback rankings, there is no verbiage we won't get mad at.
There's no possible way for it to get phrased in a way that people actually understand. It's a crowdsource consensus quarterback rankings of 1,075 submissions. So take that how you will. Also, people have the option to submit it to the consensus or not.
Mm-hmm.
So because I haven't finished the feature where I'm going to pull all of the data from the consensus and you'll decide beforehand, submit to consensus or not. And if you're not submitting to the consensus, it'll give you the full list. And if you are, it'll give you a list that doesn't compare like Mahomes to Spencer Rattler.
Mm-hmm.
Or like those kind of bullshit comparisons that like obviously we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
But once I finish that, it'll be perfect and wonderful, and all the quarterback rankings will be perfect and wonderful. But we have one more thing to talk about, and that is the Stay Hot Locks. And before we get into the Stay Hot Locks, I just have to remind you that FanDuel's getting ready for the NFL season with an offer that you won't want to miss. We are sponsored by FanDuel for this upcoming NFL season. They are our good friends, and new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is almost here, and the only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/podcast to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Disclaimer: must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. For first online real money wager only, $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. For those who are unfamiliar with the Stay Hot Locks, all right, it's basically set up like a parlay. I put out a tweet on the Stay Hot account earlier. The way it's set up is we each get to pick as many locks as we want in draft style, and however many correct we get, however many of those locks win, that is how many points we get. If we get any of them wrong, if any of those teams lose, you get 0 points for that week. Frequently asked questions are, how do ties work? Ties do not count towards your score. If your team ties, you just don't get points for that game, but it doesn't count against you in any way.
It doesn't count as a strike, and it doesn't ruin your week.
The other frequently asked questions were related to I think I actually answered them all in my description. But basically, it's a parlay is the way that it works out.
And we can't pick the same teams.
And we can't pick the same team. Oh, yes. The other one is we can challenge picks. So if somebody challenges your pick, and so if you challenge somebody's pick and you win, you get double the points. You get 2 points instead of 1 for that game. I touched everything. Theo, you won last year, so you can pick where you want your selection to be.
Yeah, I think I'll have to go with the first pick for the I don't know. It just feels right. And
so
I think I'm going to pick man. It's hard week 1 when you don't know anything about any of these teams.
Is it?
I think so. I think I'm going to go with the Eagles, even though I picked the Cowboys to cover the spread. But yeah, the 8.5 point spread says a lot. I don't think the Cowboys will be rewarded for trading Parsons.
It's a game,
and I think that will become abundantly clear week 1 that their defense can't really hang, as much as I think Dak has some advantages.
I would agree. And so then I guess I would get to pick the next spot since I came in second last year, and I'll take the second pick here. And going with the spreads is always a good idea. I think I'm going to shy away from the 8.5 point Denver, Tennessee right now, but even though I do like them, and I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals over the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints are just the worst team right now. And so I will take the Cardinals with my first pick here. And now, Matt, you've got the turn.
I've got the turn, and I'll take 2. I'll go with Denver over Tennessee. It's the biggest spread left on the board, and I think it's a really tough matchup for Cam Ward's first game.
It is.
I also wonder how the receiver room shakes out against, that cornerback room, specifically if Ridley can be, kind of X'd out by Surtain a little bit. Where else is there to look? And then I'll go Bengals over Cleveland. I think the Browns really stink. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league. And I think the Bengals are kind of a threat to lose, any given game because their defense is weak and it could turn into a shootout because, Flacco can go out there and throw for a 300 any given day. But in general, I think betting against bad teams is probably the play. And then I'll be out. I'll just take my 2 and not anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take Washington here over the New York Giants, and then I'll also be out. So then, Theo, you can take as many as you want.
This is my calling card, is to take a bunch.
So, for those that don't know, Theo has a tendency to take every team on the board.
Every team. I mean, I'm the winner, so I think I'm just more encouraged to maybe
twice
do
out of
more.
4 years. So I mean, your strategy can't be criticized too much.
Let me tell you, Matt, the Bengals famously get off to a little bit of a slow start. We'll see if Burrow playing in the preseason helped them out at all. But over the last couple of years, since 2020, the Bengals rank 18th in offensive EPA per play the first 4 weeks of the season. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on if
go ahead and pick the Browns then.
No, I don't think I will be doing that.
Well, then we'll cut that from the episode, man. If it's a take you don't want to stand on, absolutely, no, absolutely.
I'm not giving you a take.
I'll text Manny after the episode, man. It will not be a problem. Don't bring it up and then be like, well, but I'm not going to actually pick.
No, it's interesting because I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I would pick the Bengals, but I also wouldn't challenge and pick the Browns.
You wouldn't pick the Bengals because you think Cleveland's winning like 12 games. You told us after the recording. I said 5.
Yeah, after I said we would win 5, I actually turned around and said, no, we're winning.
Let's see. I'm going to go shopping here. I'm going to take the Jaguars over the Panthers.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Ravens over the Bills.
As a lock?
As a lock. They got lucky last time. All right.
They're due now.
The Ravens are due for.
I can't
win.
hate on that logic.
Yeah, the Ravens lost in week 1 last year, and they lost to Buffalo in the playoffs. Now they're due.
I just don't like the way the Bills defense looked versus playoff teams last regular season. I think that's still going to be a bit of an issue for them. I think they're a little bit. They rely a lot more on luck than the Ravens would. I mean, those drops and the Mark Andrew fumble and the Lamar fumble are why they were able to beat the Ravens. Even with all of that going wrong for Baltimore, they still were right there at the end. I think they've got a pretty good shot to win. Like I think the Ravens are going to have a pretty historic regular season at least, and I think that's going to start week 1. Bills fans should be down with this because apparently when the MVP voting happened, I heard so much about how much better the Ravens roster was. And I do agree with that a little bit, even though I think Lamar was better as well. But those two things combined, I'm just Ravens pilled. So I'm going to take the Ravens as a lock over the Bills. But that definitely opens me up to the challenge.
I'm not going to challenge. I just don't think either of those games are locks. Because if I challenge and I lose, then I also get 0. So.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of locking the Raiders over the Patriots. Like, I really think that the Raiders are better than the Patriots, but they're underdogs, so I don't know.
You should do it. You should do it.
I don't want to know if I want to do all that, but I do think the Raiders are going to win, but I'm not adding it to my
Are the Raiders
list.
dogs in that game?
They're dogs, man. If I got double points for picking dogs, I would pick them, but I don't get double points for picking dogs. So
I'll go ahead and reveal my strategy to you guys. I think the correct number of games to pick is almost always 2, unless it's weird weeks. 1, I know for a fact, like, you're wrong. I forget what it was, but last year I was talking to somebody about this, and it's like it never makes sense to pick 1. As long as you can pick another game where it's like your team is the favorite, your average number of points will still be good. But for the same way that like parlays always get promoted as like the preferred way that sports books would have you gamble, in the sense that like the longer the parlay, the harder it is to hit. And maybe that's just because like sports books have an edge on each thing, but I think it kind of works here where it's like if you were to pick like 9 games, you basically never get it right.
Yeah.
Especially if every pick you make is some psycho BS. Like I'm gonna pick one of the top 5 teams in the NFL to lose.
Yep.
Maybe what I'll do is every week I'll put like.
But you won last time, so I
won last time. So here's
what we should all do.
I'm looking down on all of you.
We should all take like 10 grand and put it on our Stay Hot locks to really
10 grand. Yeah, I'll go get that from my bank account. No doubt.
Yeah, man.
I got $10 to my name, people. That's why you got to go subscribe to the Patreon right now.
That's why you got to go subscribe to the Patreon so that we can put 10 grand on the Stay Hot locks.
Yep. And exactly.
Exactly.
Exact.
So yeah, those are the Stay Hot locks. Theo is locking the Eagles, Jaguars, and Ravens. He is our reigning champion from last season. I am locking the Cardinals and the Commanders, and Matt is locking the Broncos and the Bengals. We'll see who gets off to a hot start, and we'll see if that person can stay hot throughout the rest of the season. This will probably be, because we'll be doing some FanDuel segments throughout the season as well. This will probably split between a FanDuel segment as well. So until next time, thank you all so much. We've got 3 huge Patreon episodes coming your way. And until next time, from your favorite 3 fellas here at Stay Hot, we will catch you on the flippity flop.